Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, I present to you no chair. That's right, because Mr. is gone. Because I got a new chair.
Okay.
I got a new chair, okay? So it doesn't make sounds. You're not gonna hear any noises in my streams and it. I got a new chair. I wish you guys would be a little bit more excited. Start the video. What's going on, CK Cruz? Your boy CK2K here, and welcome back to another video. Yes, it's your boy, and we back here on the YouTube waves. I appreciate all the love and comments that came in my last video. That was the reading your comments video. You guys had a lot more questions that I went through and hopefully answered a good majority of them. I answered as many comments as I could as I go through. I have to go through them a few times, and I'm not complaining at all because I really enjoy talking to you guys in the comment section. One of the main things y'all keep asking me about, it has come to look. This keeps happening, okay? People want to say it's not my hairline, okay? It's because the hair on top is long.
Stop it.
Today is the day where I am judged because there's a high percentage chance that some of y'all watching this video aren't subscribed and you guys are coming here just because you want to see another NBA mock draft. And for that reason, you're going to see your favorite player and or team not in the spot that you want it to be, and you're going to strike me down with the rage of 1,009-year-olds. And today I tell you, I apologize. This is my opinion. This is my mock draft. So here you are. And if you're a real CK Crew member, you know if you feel differently, you let me know in the comment section below how you would change it up. That's how we do it out here. All that being said, today is the mock draft. I'm going to say 1.0. Unless there's something that can absolutely change between now and whenever the NBA draft is going to be, where we'll get to see these players work out or something of the sort, then I might do a 2.0. But because it's looking like between now and whenever the draft is, what you see is what you got. March Madness ended, or there was no March Madness, excuse me. You know, a lot of these guys that played overseas, their season got ended short because of coronavirus. So because of all that, it looks like what you see is what you got. Not what you see is what you're going to get. What you see is what you got. Anyways, enough dilly-dallying. Let's get into this. And yes, I'm going to this with a neutral perspective, not a Knicks fan perspective. My Knicks fans out there that are going to be asking, what do you think Knicks should do? Will the Knicks trade up? That is a separate video that is coming out where I will talk about scenarios where we trade up, scenarios where who we draft with our other two, because we have another pick in the first round. We'll talk about all that other stuff in a separate video. This one is strictly my CK mock draft. I don't know why I did like I was about to do like I was gonna do some like Naruto stuff. I was getting to the damn thing. Let's start off at number 1, the tippity top. And again, this is strictly based off the standings right now, okay? So hopefully when we get back into the league, when all this is over, we get some games before the playoffs and maybe things can shift at that point in time. If not, as of right now, this is where the teams stand if the lottery balls went everybody's way according to where they are standing in the standings. How many times can I say standing? I don't know. Let's get into it. Number 1 goes to the Golden State Warriors, and I have them selecting James Wiseman. Yep, and we're off. No, honestly, I feel like the top 3 spots are pretty much in the air, but you know that they are within that top tier. There are people who have opinions about James Wiseman, people thinking that he is a bit overrated, but I feel like of all these players, of all these pieces, of all these selections, I just believe that James Wiseman on both talent and fit makes the most sense, because to me he is in the tier 1 talent in this NBA draft, as well as the fit just makes way too much sense for this team. This team has gone by as one of the best teams in the NBA without having a real marquee big man. Obviously, because of the way they play, you're gonna say they don't need a big man on that team, but the thing is, they really do. The things that made Kevon Looney so good, the things that made Damian Jones so valuable for this team, was the fact that they were strong screen setters to get these players open, as well as they were one of the better teams on the board, as well as them being the scoring team that we remember them as, and defensive team. And I feel like those are things that he could also fill in. And James Wiseman, as of right now, is not the greatest shooter, but he is someone that attempts the shot. And imagine in that kind of organization, he does develop a jump shot. That's scary. They could be looking at a huge talent for that team, and it just makes so much sense with the guys that they have around them and the nucleus that they have, that is the Golden State Warriors. That just makes so much sense for him to, like I said, slide right in and be impact from the jump. I know talent over fit, but this time I believe both make sense in this selection. So I'm going with James Wiseman, number 1 overall pick to the Golden State Warriors. Holla at me. Number 2. That was real LeVar Ball-esque, and that makes sense because my number 2 overall pick, and it's like I said, this is all my bias aside, but it just makes sense. Again, talent and fit wise. Number 2 to the stupid Cleveland Cavaliers, I got them selecting LaMelo Ball. I know, not Anthony Edwards. I had Anthony Edwards originally, but I decided to flip it up. Here's why. We already saw them going in trying this 2-point guard situation with Darius Rucker. And that's how long it's been without the NBA. I don't even listen to country. Darius Garland. And it's no fault to each of them. It's just they're not a combination that makes sense. I feel like Darius Garland on a separate team and Colin Sexton on this team, I feel like them separately could be good starting point guards or even a backup point guard on whichever team they are. I just don't believe that the 1-2 punch of Darius Garland and Colin Sexton is going to work out long term for this team. And I feel like a LaMelo Ball along with probably most likely Colin Sexton makes more sense. And you can trade early rather than trade late when it comes to a guy like Darius Garland, or maybe vice versa and trade Colin Sexton when you've seen all that you got out of Colin Sexton. Maybe you trade him away and keep the Darius Garland LaMelo Ball situation. I just feel like with LaMelo Ball's height and being a 6'7" point guard, a 6'7" off guard, that he would make a lot of sense pairing up with one of these two guards if they want to continue to run that. And as well, on top of that, they also potentially get their superstar-esque player. They sell tickets because that is a problem that Cleveland has. They're at a point where they're selling their tickets for $1 a seat. So it would make the most sense for them business-wise as well as long-term if they go this route, because then it makes the Cleveland Cavaliers attractive once again, and the pairing of him with one of those other two guards makes more sense than Darius Garland and Colin Sexton. I feel like the combination of those young guys, and they finally, they have Andre Drummond and these kind of guys that I would be very surprised if they're with this team long term. I believe Tristan Thompson's going to be gone. Kevin Love will probably get a trade if not in the offseason, then at some point next year. Andre Drummond is definitely not going to come back, and so it just feels like it's time for them to make that complete flip. And if they get a guy like LaMelo Ball, that is the kind of guy that will make them box office once again and potentially help them get to a point of relevancy for other players to want to join the team. I think LaMelo goes to the Cavaliers, and I hate it. Pick number 3, he's not dropping any further, Anthony Edwards. Now, I know on a lot of people, if not everybody's draft board, Anthony Edwards is the go-to guy to get in this draft. And it probably is so, and it's probably going to be easily LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, and then goes down from the list. To me, I just feel like these 3 guys are the top tier guys. You could even probably slip in the guy I'm going to have named next for the next team, but I feel like those are the guys that are in the tier 1 position within this draft, and I feel like they're interchangeable, and it's not to a point where it's like a Zion Williamson, John Morant, RJ Barrett drop off like it was last year. I feel like any 3 of them could be slotted at any point in this draft, where it's going to be up until draft day, it's going to be unknown who is going to actually go first, second, or third. You just know which name could be the one in those 3 slots. So because of that, Anthony Edwards makes the most sense for me at number 3. And then it's with the Minnesota Timberwolves team that, yes, they just did get Jarrett Culver, who is going back and forth between the 2 and 3 position in some rotations. And with the guy like D-Lo playing that point guard, Cat at the center, it just makes so much sense if they go with a lineup like this. They already got a solid bench with, if they bring back Malik Beasley, they got all these nice young pieces that they got from the Denver team. And if they get another dominant scorer in Anthony Edwards to pair with these guys, who knows what this team could turn into. Defense isn't going to be that great, but with a guy like Anthony Edwards and Jarrett Culver, if you put them at your wings pretty much, that could help boost up the defense right there. Because you know damn well that D-Lo not playing much defense, and Cat not the greatest defender, but I feel like with that pairing right there, with that triplet right there on that team long term, that could be a lot of fun for Minnesota. Not good for the Knicks, because that might make Cat a little bit more happy and not want to leave or go anywhere. Same thing for D-Lo, but Again, in my non-biased NBA draft, I feel like that would make the most sense. Anthony Edwards going 3. I know I'm probably the only person in the whole world got him at 3. It's just the way my brain's working. I cannot wait for the comments of you guys tearing me up. But you know my logic makes sense. On to number 4. And number 4, I got the Atlanta Hawks. And this one was rough for me because I feel like 4 and 5 are interchangeable. But I'm actually gonna go with Obi Toppin going number 4 to the Atlanta Hawks. Here's why. The Atlanta Hawks are already in talks and have been in talks with looking to get rid of John Collins. Why? Honestly, I don't know. I feel the combination of him and Trae Young could be something fun. We did see John Collins miss quite a few games because of him testing positive for steroids at the beginning of the season, so he missed quite a chunk of games there. But even when they came back, it was as well as John Collins played, it was a mediocre pairing of the two of them. So who knows what that's going to turn into next year. He's not the greatest defender in the post. He can defend, but he's not the greatest defender in the post. And I feel like if you upgrade a John Collins into an Obi Toppin, him and Trae Young could be something actually pretty scary. You put Obi Toppin next to a guy like Clint Capella, then they might have something there for long term with Kevin Huerter, Trae Young, and then those two boys down there in the paint. It almost is a same situation for Obi Toppin with the Hawks than when it was with Dayton, and you never know what that could turn into. So I feel like this would be such a good fit. I want to easily put this next guy that I'm putting in Detroit to Atlanta. I just feel like I like the fit, especially with the news I've been hearing about the John Collins stuff. The fit of Obi Toppin with Trae Young and those boys makes more sense to me. So I got Obi Toppin going 4. Number 5, then I got, and I cannot say his name, and I've heard his pronunciation so many times, but I cannot say Danny's name, so I'm just going to call him Danny, and I got Danny going number 5 to the Detroit Pistons. I'm sorry, Danny. I know you don't want it, but it just makes sense. I don't believe Danny is going to drop out of this top 5. It would be crazy for me to put anybody else above Danny in this situation. I don't really know what the trajectory or what the goal or what the plan is for the Detroit Pistons as of right now. I know as far as them unloading players that they unloaded to completely embrace the rebuild, and I can obviously see that, but as far as what they want to do next, I don't know. I really wanted to put like a Cole Anthony, a Killian Hayes, Tyrese Halliburton. I want to put one of those guys here because yes, as nice as Derrick Rose is, I would be very surprised if Derrick Rose ends up wanting to stay in Detroit long term, because he's at a point where he's playing really good basketball right now, and he would be so effective on another team that needs the kind of play that he's been bringing to an empty Detroit Pistons team. So I feel like they just need to make that rebuild. So to me, I was like, draft the point guard and go from there. But at the same time, man, if you cannot pass up on Danny past 5, and it just makes so much sense. You put him out there, and you never know what could happen. You might get Luka effect to an extent. I'm not going to be one of those that are going to jump in saying that Danny's the Luka of this draft, but he actually could be. He's like a Luka light. It could happen. You don't know. The kid's a good player, man. So it's very possible that could be the case, but I'm not going to sit here and say that he's going to be the next Luka, because it's still very unknown with that. But I put Danny at 5 going to the Detroit Pistons. Next is my New York Knicks sitting at the 6th pick, and I wrote down, and I'm putting Killian Hayes at the number 6 spot for the New York Knicks. But for theatrics, I could see the New York Knicks making the selection of Cole Anthony with the number 6 pick. I could wholeheartedly see that Leon Rose, to make that imprint in his first year as being the president for this organization, him going out knowing that LaMelo Ball's off the board and going in and getting the New York kid, all those situations making too much sense, where the Knicks would go out and they would take the chance on a guy like Cole Anthony with this 6th pick. But for my unbiased mock draft, I am putting them getting Killian Hayes being the number 6 overall pick. Killian Hayes to me is just one of those guys, and a lot like a lot of these picks that are from, I would say from 5 down, from 5 for the rest of the draft, is a lot of projects and a lot of unknown. There's some guys where they look polished, they look like they're going to be good players, but you just don't know. And I feel like Killian Hayes is one of those guys. To me, he's my second favorite point guard in the draft. And I feel like if we would come out with a Killian Hayes, it would make a lot of sense for the Knicks, as well as for just strictly looking at this draft. It makes the most sense coming with Killian Hayes in this pick. Killian Hayes is a guy that does have a shot. He has the ability to go out there and play some semi-good defense. The question that I have, and I like him around the rim on the break, and seeing him in the fast break with RJ Barrett and some of these guys, I like that. I like that potential with him. My thing with him is just the shot creating. I feel like that is probably one of the lower parts of this game. I know there's some people that are actually crazy about it, but from what I've seen, it's there, but it's not to the extent where I am looking for my point guard one. But at the same time, if he is a guy that goes in and blows us away and shows the potential that a lot of people think he's going to have, I'll take that. And even if he ends up just being a steady, good point guard that actually gets the job done, I'll take that too. I feel like it'd be one of those two options and not the worst case scenario if we get him at 6. So I'm going Killian Hayes at 6, but my wild card is the Knicks also going and just grabbing Cole Anthony at this point. So do with that as you may. Number 7, I have the Chicago Bulls. This one was hard for me too, but I know they just drafted a center not too long ago, 2 years ago, and I feel like they're gonna go that route again, and they're gonna get the forward LaMelo Ball's boy, ex-Chino Hills product, Onyeka Okongwu. They obviously don't know what they're going to do with Lauri Markkanen, and I feel like if they went the route and drafted this kid who I feel like is going to be, he has that Bam type of growth. I feel like he's going to be a guy that's going to be a long-term project where it's you're not going to see the result of who he's going to be up until probably year 3. But I like this kid a lot. He's shown from every level where people thought he was just going to be an okay player. He's overachieved both on the high school level and the college level. And I feel like if he is put in the right situation, which unfortunately is not the Bulls, if he's put in the right situation and played the right way, I feel like Onyeka would be a great player for the Chicago Bulls team. But then that comes to them answering the question, what do we do with Lauri Markkanen? That's not up to me to decide, but I'll tell you what, Knicks, if they're looking to trade him, I say you put your hat in the bag and see what we can get if they're looking to trade Lauri Markkanen.
What?
Next up, I have at number 8 the Charlotte Hornets, who another team that actually is they overachieved a little bit in my opinion this year, and I feel like that's something that can continue. They finally cut ties to guys like Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and Marvin Williams, like the older guys. And I'm not saying Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is the older dude, but the older guys that was slowing them down for playing the pace that they want to play at, shoot the ball the way they want to shoot. You're seeing Miles Bridges blossom to a guy that some people did actually see, and surprising a lot of other folks. So I feel like they have a good team right now, and I feel like the position that is probably the most unsteady for this squad is that too, because guys like Malik Monk didn't pan out to be the guy that they think they are, to the point where they're playing the 2-guard system with Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier. And I think that if they draft this kid, Isaac Okoro, he would make the most sense, and he would just slide right in and become a perfect number 2 for this team. A lot of people have him compared to a Jimmy Butler light. I like that comparison. I feel like he's a good scorer, and he's a great two-way player. And I feel like it would make the most sense and help them continue that trajectory on the right path. And it's good to see Michael Jordan and those boys over in Charlotte finally playing it the long game rather than trying to throw contracts at people that do not deserve contracts, and they're going within the draft. And I feel like this might be the best pick to help them continue to go on that trajectory. So I see Isaac Okoro going to the Charlotte Hornets at pick 8. Pick number 9, the Washington Wizards, who will finally be getting John Wall back next season in 2021. I think that they're going to go the route of drafting a point guard, and they will get Cole Anthony at this spot at number 9. Now, mind you, we don't know what John Wall is going to come back and look like. Now, obviously, we've heard the reports and we've heard people say that John Wall looks like he's ready to come back, and he's already looking at he's playing at a high level in the practices and the scrimmages, but who knows if there's going to be that other injury that comes in place. And every time, this team has not been prepared for that. I mean, they've had tons of guys like the Ish Smiths. They had Jordan McRae coming here playing point guard. We saw recently this year Gary Payton II. Like, we've seen so many names come to this team, and none of them actually stick as that backup. And I feel like this is the time where they get this point guard. We're in a situation, if this happens once again and they feel like they have to unload his contract, they already have that point guard in the wings, and I feel like Cole Anthony would be that guy. Cole Anthony wouldn't be that far away from New York. He's playing Washington. Washington already has a bunch of Knicks fans. That's a way to steal a fan base onto that team, because there's a lot of Knicks fans that want to see the Knicks get the homeboy Cole Anthony, and maybe that would help them come over and watch some more Washington Wizards games. It also runs the risk of him playing behind John Wall rather than being the number one guy from the jump, which is something he probably can do, but maybe playing behind John Wall for a few years might be the best case scenario to get the best product out of Cole Anthony. That's the thing. In today's NBA and fan base, people don't believe in development or believe in patience, and I feel like this would be one of the best situations for this team to go that route and get them, because they do have a nice selection at every other position, center, forward. You know, they got one of the better guards in the league who is highly committed to this team for whatever reason. I feel like drafting Hachimura last year put him at the 3, and I think they have a good lineup. It's just unfortunate with John Wall being out. They were very confused and they were very inconsistent at the point guard, so Cole Anthony would be a great pickup right here. And let's be honest, the Wizards were fighting to be in that playoff team without John Wall, with the squad they had. If they had a solidified point guard, who knows where they would have been at. But the collection of guys they got put Cole Anthony right there. Who knows what will happen with this team. So I got Cole Anthony going number 9 to the Washington Wizards. All right, for the last 4 picks, I'm gonna go a little bit faster. I've been going in a lot of detail. I'm gonna try to go into detail with these ones, but I'm gonna go a little bit quicker because we are taking up a lot of time talking about these players. Number 10 to the Phoenix Suns. I know they have Ricky Rubio, and Ricky Rubio did good things for them to start off the season, but then Ricky Rubio started to show his head. Injuries, lack of shooting, those kind of things. I believe that this team will finally get their point guard of the future and draft a guy that fits next to a guy like Devin Booker and fits with the run and gun, you know, get the ball to the best shooter kind of offense that they play under Monty Williams. And I like Tyrese Halliburton going number 10 to the Phoenix Suns. He has also shown that he's a great scorer. His defense is actually not too shabby, and put him at the 1. Who knows? He's a great defender. I think that he could be a fun player long term, but the thing is, there's still so many questions. I like the fit of him with that Phoenix Suns squad. I feel like it makes sense at 10, so I got them going with Tyrese Halliburton at number 10. Number 11. Now this is, you have to remember, it's the San Antonio Spurs. I could easily slot the guys that fit here. A lot of mocks have Precious going here. A lot of mocks have a lot of other players going here. But I believe somebody who, and I'm happy to see him get a lot more love in a lot of mocks. I believe this team goes after a guy that has a potential to turn into a Kawhi Leonard-esque, Pascal Siakam-esque guy that could just surprise a lot of people at this 13th spot and be like, dang, or excuse me, at this 11th spot, and people be like, damn, they drafted him. I like Saddiq Bey going to the San Antonio Spurs. I'm not saying he's a superstar. I'm not saying he is an all-star. I'm saying that he has the potential with Popovich and with the kind of stuff that they do in San Antonio. He has the potential to become a very key player for this team. He's already a solid perimeter defender. He's got a great jumper from the 3-point line. I like the fit, and I like that pickup for the San Antonio Spurs, where they got a lot of guards. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with the older guys, the vets on their team. I like the fit of him going there, especially with a guy like Rudy Gay there that can help him out, you know, help teach him long term. I like Saddiq Bey going to the San Antonio Spurs at 11. Next up, Sacramento Kings. This one's hard because they're another team I just don't know what they're doing. The hiring of Luke Walton, and, you know, not sure if they're going to play Buddy, if they're going to play Boban. Like, I don't know what this team's plan is, but I do know what makes the most sense for them. And I think that them drafting Precious would be the best selection for this team. Precious has, you know, he lost a little bit of his flavor from high school, because going into college, a lot of people had there were a lot of radars on Precious. A lot of people were talking highly about Precious, saying he was going to be this, he was going to be that, he was going to be top 5 talent, this and that. And unfortunately, he fell down a little bit. But I do believe that there's a reason why the conversations were there. A lot like how I feel about Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish, although he dropped in the draft when initially he was thought to be a top 3 talent before he played at Duke, you saw as the season progressed, the reason why Cam Reddish was so talked about leading up to the draft last season. So I feel like that's the same thing for Precious. It's just about how the Kings decide to use him. So I got Precious going 12 to the Sacramento Kings. And now we have our last 2 picks, and these are 2 teams that could possibly be in the playoffs if we see the season come back and we see any games before the playoffs. But as of right now, we have the New Orleans Pelicans at 13 and the Portland Trail Blazers at 14. 13, I got the Pelicans picking up Devin Vassell. Here's why. I know his stats, you look at them, they don't really stand out or anything, but you have to remember the team and the style that they played on that team last year. They were a everybody eats kind of team. And does that remind you of any team? Yeah, the New Orleans Pelicans. With Lonzo Ball at point guard, Devin would go in and he would fit in perfectly because he is a high percentage shooter. And I feel like in this kind of offense where it's a run gun, fast paced offense, I'm going to feed you, let me get you the ball. I feel like Devin could slot in off the bench as a perfect rookie for this team on an early playoff run next season when they're trying to get that spot. So I love Devin Vassell here. Let me know what you guys think about that. And my 14th pick to the Portland Trail Blazers, I wanted to get them a big, and I really came between 2 names, but ultimately I'm going with Isaiah Stewart going to the Portland Trail Blazers here. I know that they were hurt at the big man position. I feel like Stewart can play a bit of the 5, especially in small rotation next to Melo and stuff like that, but I feel like the position that they're hurting at the most is that center/forward position, and I feel like Isaiah Stewart just makes way too much sense for the Portland Trail Blazers if they fall and stay at number 14 going into the NBA draft. That'd be a good selection for them, and it gives them some youth because this team is always on the brink of being great. They were just in the Western Conference Finals last year. I feel like a guy like Isaiah Stewart could be great there, and to have Melo and those kind of guys around him, Hassan Whiteside, that'd be dope for him. Damian Lillard, those kind of vets, it'd be dope for him. So I feel like that is a good pick at 14 going to Isaiah Stewart. Now let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. All right, you guys disagree, agree? I know there's gonna be a lot of disagreements. I'm already prepared for it, but tell me why. Don't just attack me. Tell me why you disagree, who you would move where. I know there's a lot of names that should be within this lottery that I did not name. Tyrese Maxey, Nico Mannion, RJ Hampton, Theo Maledon. There's a lot of names that I did not add. Where would you put them then? Where do you think that they would slot rather than some of these names I named? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know all of your vibes in the comments below. Like I said, if we get more games to end off the season, I'll do another one of these. If not, then this is my mock draft as of right now, mock draft 1.0. Give me all of your thoughts. You guys know the deal. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when these videos are coming out. I love each and every one of you guys. Appreciate all the love. Catch you guys in the next video. Keep practicing social distancing. Keep practicing it. Keep doing what we gotta do so we can get back to normalcy in the world. I'm out of here. Let's get it. Catch you on the next one. Peace.
Feeling like I won the lotto. Always taking trips with a new chick, asking where the time goes. And I wonder if this is all I'll know. 'Cause like my old